Good morning and welcome to another Writer's Morning Commute with Ashton Gaskill. Today we'll be discussing the 7th, 8th, and the 9 points and 8/8 outlining method. This 8th is all about the final lead up to the climax. We're reacting to the low point, which just happened, and our main character is distraught. They are hopeless. Everything is bad. Your first question to ask, and as you're beginning this 8th, is how can you make it even worse? What support do they still have? What comfort do they still have? How can you take that away? Leave them as isolated and vulnerable and alone and hopeless as possible. Your character is going to be reflecting on how they, in their view, have been pursuing this truth, and how they tried to live up to it, and how they tried to actualize it in their life, and how ultimately it left them, it failed them. They're going to think that it was a waste of time, and that the right way was their old way this whole time. So give them something to tempt them, something that makes them either want to try going back to their old way, or something that allows them to go back to their old way. They've basically tried to, they're trying to give up. But during that time, something's not quite right. They can't find that comfort that they used to have in their old world. Whether they realize that when they try, or if they realize it before they even try, they know that there's not really any going back at this point. They can't just take what they've learned and ignore it. It's always going to be there, festering, picking at their subconscious, making their life a living hell until they can find a way to internalize that. And once they realize that there isn't any actually going back, that either their life is going to be terrible and miserable until they die, or they have to find a way to finish the story, something is going to happen. Figure out what that thing is that can bring them back to the story, bring them back towards the climax. And when this event happens, it's a bit of a reflection of the inciting incident and the character's rejection and consideration of whether or not they want to go on this journey back in the 2nd 8th. That whole mental reflection process gets reflected here as they look at how the lie is making their life unlivable, and how maybe they didn't actually give the truth as much of a chance as it deserved. Maybe they did give it a chance and it hurt, but it's still right. And they realize that, sometimes you don't make mistakes and you still lose. But that doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. Whatever it is, they take this newfound, rekindled passion for the truth, and they charge towards the climax. At this point, they've almost entirely shed the lie. They've almost entirely embraced the truth. They might not completely have it together yet. They won't actually self-actualize all of that until the climax. But they are getting darn close, and they are at the very least determined to give it their best shot. During this process, there should be a moment where the character somehow symbolically rejects the lie. Maybe there's some object that can symbolize it that they can throw away or leave behind. Maybe there's someone that symbolizes it that they can, scorn, burn their bridges with. But they're going to symbolically reject the lie somehow. And empowered by the truth, to the fullest extent they've been so far, they're going to head towards the climax, hitting some solid victories along the way, with a bit of a false victory finishing out this 8th right before the climax. So thank you for riding with me today. I hope you have a great day.